I'm one of the many faces of a recovered alcoholic, and today is a good day because my biggest challenge today is getting through this speech. Today is a good day because of AA and the debt of gratitude that I owe. More specifically, the 12 steps that deliver me from self will to self love and eventually selflessness. I'm far from perfect, but I'm definitely closer than I've ever been before. I won't go into the pros and cons of the disease, the causes, etc. of alcohol addiction. There is a plethora of information available out there on that. My goal is to stay on topic of the heart of AA, the 12 steps, and a brief definition and expectations of each step according to the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. So, just 12 little suggestions that can change your life's direction. The 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. So, I will share with you the brief history of Alcoholics Anonymous, the founder of AA, and the 12 steps and the brief explanation according to the Big Book and my personal experience, and finally, a recap and summary of the 12 steps. Most of my information is found through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, which I own, speaking with Dave Dauber and Miss Wanda, who are licensed counselor dependency counselors at the Christian Farms Treehouse, and several websites available as well. It all began with Bill W., an unmanageable alcoholic. He paid a visit to his friend, Evie T., as he recalls, on a chilly November afternoon in 1934. And it was Ebby who had brought the message that saved Bill W.'s life. And Bill would later say in his eulogy to his old friend that he was not cured overnight, but thus began the journey of carrying the message of sobriety to other alcoholics and drafting the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. But it all begins with a decision, the decision to begin the following steps. Step one, we had admitted that we were powerless over alcohol and that our lives had become unmanageable, which is honesty, especially with ourselves. I never really had any control in my days of drinking. I was only managing to get by and not hope to expect more out of life. Step two, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Hope. Hope to rid of this insanity and feelings that would lead back to drinking. The only thing that I had or that I could muster was hopelessness, that I would wake up with every morning and making empty promises to not drink later in the day. Step three, make a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. Having faith and relinquishing complete control and my thoughts and my ideas and feelings to a better manager, my higher power. So, before working with a sponsor on the 12 steps, I tried doing things on my own for so long and I just couldn't anymore. I made bargain basement deals with God. I broke and lost relationships. I was ashamed and I was an echo with no sound. But there is something beautiful and peaceful when you can't dig that hole any deeper. I hit rock bottom, and the following steps, 4 through 9, is where my real work began. So, steps 4 through 9 is where the real work begins or into action. Step 4, I made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Courage. For step 4, simply put, balls to the wall. And finally, I was able to give a name to the shame and scare and the scared feeling that I had for so long. It was pen to paper. Things I would have rather forgotten and hoped that nobody would remember for fear of being found out is what I had to finally bring to surface and search deeply for. Step 5, admitted to God, to yourself, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Integrity. Not just the wrong of the who, not just the wrong, but the who, what, when, why, where, and what of the wrong. For step 5, when you admit to God. I call this regurgitating all my shit and doing probably one of the scariest things I had to face in my life. Verbalizing and sharing all of my shame and regret with another human being. Step 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Willingness. Ready to work with my higher power to remove the desire to drink and other defects while accepting that this would be a lifelong job. Step 7, humbly ask Him to remove our shortcomings. Humility. Pride and self-reliance had to be set aside because from there I know contempt will grow and lead me back to an alcoholic mind. Being mindful of humility is necessary for someone like me because I can sometimes get into a superstar frame of mind. Brotherly love, step 8. This was a hard pill for me to swallow. Regardless of who they were or how little or big I thought the situation was, I was also a part of it and I had to make amends for my part. Step 9. Make direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others, or justice. So this is actually checking off step 8 to do the step 8 to-do list and right any wrongs if possible. Seeking and asking forgiveness did not always mean receiving forgiveness. However, this is also a part of the process, and I could not allow this to stop me. Seeking peace means more and holds more value than who I think is more wrong. So the work is never done, but I would not have it any other way. All I ask is for another day of reprieve, and steps 10 to 12 come down to practicing these principles in all of our affairs. So here I give you steps 10 to 12: maintenance, mindfulness, and carrying the message. Step 10, continuing to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admit it. Perseverance. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, even if it means having to apologize to my ex because I misunderstood him. It means talking myself down from my ego, cussing all the way to the confession box, and apologize. But I can honestly say that I never once regretted doing this. It gets easier with time, and one of the best things that came out of this is holding others accountable for their actions because I am a person of worth. I have to smile when I do this now because I can still remember how difficult it was for me at that one time. Eyes on the prize, Violet, eyes on the prize. And I always remind myself of one of the best takeaways from Dave Dauber: be careful of that self will because it always bites you in the ass.